So today I'm shooting in an area that I typically don't shoot in all that much. This is the Boston Seaport District. I always felt like this place lacked character because you have all these new development buildings, fancy hotels, a lot of construction as well. Yeah, there's nothing interesting here, pretty much. I kind of forced myself to shoot here because I never shoot in this area because of that. So yeah, that's where I decided to shoot today because I like paint.
We all have that one part of town that we never bother to set foot in to take photos because we know that place is probably not all that interesting. But sometimes it can be a good exercise to force yourself to shoot in that place. I have my go-to spots I like to shoot in Boston, and I sort of got into a habit of always starting off in those areas and not really wandering to areas I don't really shoot in. And so today I decided to make a change and shoot in what's quite possibly the most boring part of my city. Now the goal isn't to come away with any amazing photos from this. The goal is to put myself out of my comfort zone and see what I can make out of this situation. Hopefully leading to some creative shots, as I'm not going to have a lot of interesting things to work with.
So today I'm shooting with Fujifilm X-T5 and got a new lens on it. This is the 90mm M Roker lens. Ever since I've used the 90mm lens in Venice, I've been on the hunt for a solid 135mm equivalent lens for my Fujifilm. I really enjoyed shooting with that focal length as it really opened up this whole new world of seeing on the street. The only issue with that lens though was that it was massive and it weighed a ton. It just wasn't very practical for me to use it all of the time for street photography. But then I remembered that Minolta actually has their own 90mm M mount lens. It's actually part of a trifecta of lenses that they made for the Minolta CLE camera I actually already own, as well as the other two lenses, the 28mm and 40mm. I've adapted those lenses to my Fujifilm before, so it was a no-brainer to pull the plug and purchase the 90mm, especially since it would give me that 135mm focal length I've been wanting for so long. Big thanks to Earth for sending me their Leica M mount to Fujifilm X adapter to use for this video. If you haven't heard about Earth before, they're a camera gear company specializing in lens filters, adapters, and camera backpacks such as their No-Right 24-liter bag, which I brought with me today on this shoot. And they make filters, which I'm using right now. This is the magnetic ND filter, which I can easily clip onto the camera.
And of course, the lens adapter I'm using. I wouldn't be able to use this 90mm lens on my Fujifilm without some way of adapting the lens. On their website, you'll see that they have many options to convert lenses from other bodies to your own camera body. What's also really great about Earth is that every time you buy an item from their store, they plant 5 trees to help offset emissions and help with deforestation. You can find all the gear mentioned in this video linked in the description. Thanks again to Earth for sponsoring today's video. This was a really tough place to photograph. I can't really put into words how uninteresting the Seaport District is to shoot, but this was still something I wanted to do for myself. Because of my recent travels, I've been photographing quite a lot of photogenic places, so shooting in this area, it was a bit of a splash of cold water to my face. I really struggled to photograph anything. But as painfully difficult as it was to shoot here, I think I'm going to keep coming back here and to attempt to photograph this place because of the challenge it provides.
It's not often you've come across someone with a cowboy hat. So I found this puddle. It's a really good splash of color. Just get someone to walk by me. So it hasn't been going as well as planned. I don't know if I really had a plan to begin with, but I think I'm gonna cross the bridge and head back into town. But just now I just got a photo I really liked. This one, guy's hand. Really loving this focal length. I tend to crop my images a lot, so it's like I already cropped it in camera. Probably gonna cross the bridge now and head back into the city. Not sure where I'm gonna go from there, but let's see what happens.
So I ended up heading back downtown. It was almost a night and day difference how much more interesting it was here. There's just so much more life happening. Starting off from the seaport may have not seemed like a good idea considering I didn't take any great photos there, but it strangely helped me feel a bit more inspired the second I got back into the city. Alright, so first impressions of this little guy. It's certainly not on the level in terms of image quality as the Fujifilm 90mm that I shot with in Venice. This only stops down to f4. I believe the Fuji stops down to f2, so it's definitely not as fast, but those are all things I can live without. The whole reason I got this lens is because it's, first of all, a 135mm focal length once I adapt it to my Fuji, but also a fraction of the size and weight. You know, this is something I can hold for hours, all day long, you know, without my wrist breaking. Bit of an exaggeration, but it really is a lot more practical for me for doing street photography to have, you know, a lighter, more compact setup. It's only been a week or so that I've been shooting with this lens, but I really enjoy shooting with it. It's been really fun to use, but that's more to say about the focal length, the 135mm focal length, than the lens itself, really. I spoke about it already when I made the video about the 90 in Venice, but I tend to see or notice things on the street from further away, so naturally using this lens on the street has just worked for me really well. It does have its drawbacks, as you know, I still notice things close by, so whenever I do notice something that's already close to me, the lens and the camera is almost rendered useless in that scenario, so that's one of the drawbacks of shooting with a long focal length like this. It's very much an experimental lens though. Mostly everything I've shot with this lens so far has been abstract or detail, and I welcome that approach. I've been doing that a lot recently in my work this year, so you know, this lens is just another tool to help me do that. Let me know what your thoughts are on this focal length. It's definitely situational, but it's something I want to shoot a lot more of. That's why I got this lens. So you're gonna see this a lot in my work going forward. Also, this video was a bit different. I originally had plans to make this just a POV video, shooting with my GoPro, but I decided to make this video more of a, a story. I find that POV footage, those types of videos, they're a lot more practical for me to make because I can, just focus on taking photos. But creatively for the videos, I just feel like, yeah, it's harder to make a story out of a POV video. There's definitely benefits to both, don't get me wrong, so I'm not gonna stop doing POVs, but videos like these I enjoy making as well. Let me know what you think of it. Maybe it becomes a regular thing on the channel, which I kind of already feel like it has, but either way, interested to hear what your thoughts are. All right, that's all for me. I'll see you all in the next video. Love you all. Bye.
I really have no idea what I'm shooting right now. Just posing for the camera.